Hello and welcome to our Restoring Our American Republic. I'm Chuck Benoit with The Nature of Things, where we are realigning God, government, and natural law so that we might restore our American Republic. Please follow us on Facebook, on this Facebook page, and check us out on YouTube at Restoring Our American Republic ROAR. Now, if you'd like to be a part of the narrative, simply post your comments and we'll be happy to address them when they are relevant to our discussion. And you can help us be a voice here locally by liking and sharing our program. And please note as well that we're going to be expanding our live stream to other venues very, very soon. So, when discussing natural law, Blackstone's principles of law are a good place to start. Blackstone's principles are basically that, oops, hit the wrong button there. That they're a rule of conduct backed by force and not just custom, and they are based on a higher moral authority. When Harvard severed their relationship with natural law, they also brought about a dishonest assessment of what was right and what was wrong, what was good or what was evil. And the left knows this and constantly accuses the American system of capitalism as being evil. They are both almost right and totally wrong. The truth is that capitalism without God is immoral. However, communism, which is what the left wants to replace capitalism with, is evil. There was a time when a man's handshake was his bond. Today, not so much. A severing of an awareness of a higher authority has given men and women, not to be sexist, the bravado to be, well, less than honest. So, today, at Restoring Our American Republic, we are very happy to welcome Shire Maguire, an author and advocate. She's a CEO of Towers for Change, an organization dedicated to raising a generation of healthy individuals. Her Juice Plus and Tower Garden team have placed over 50 Tower Gardens in Lake County schools so far. She is co-author of the Lake County Wellness Co-mission, constantly gathering new members that recognize the benefits they will receive by joining the mission to make Lake County the healthiest county in Florida. Shire's TEDx talk on YouTube addresses the question, can growing and eating vegetables lower juvenile reoffend rates? And she's writing a book titled Waiting Behind the Wire, or Your Tax Dollars at Work, about the impact of incarceration on prisoners, families, and our communities. Welcome, Shire, and thank you for being on our show this morning. I understand you went to see the movie American Miracle a while back, and that kind of got you a little excited.
Yes, it did, Chuck, and thank you so much for having me on this morning. I appreciate your comments because they really feed into how I wanted to start talking to you this morning. The American Miracle, it's a docudrama. So a lot of scholarly historians had input on the activities that happened with our founding fathers when the Constitution was being written and the American Revolution and so forth. But it was a drama in the sense that there were actors portraying all of the founding fathers. And the parts with George Washington really stood out to me. He was one of those generals who was out riding point, like leading his troops right into the firing line. And he lost a hat and 2 horses, but he himself was never injured by bullet or arrow. And everyone around him felt it was miraculous, divine intervention. And that was, if you distilled the whole film, it was really to show us that God is real, God is in the details, God was present, and as he always is, but it was present in the beginning with the founding fathers, with the ones who were the moral advocates for the Constitution and essence. And Mike, you were there. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, I think, of course,
Having some
everything you
problems with the
said
buttons today. Sorry, people.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything that you said certainly is true. I think I recommend people watch the movie, for sure. I mean, a lot of historical stuff there, but I think also by watching the movie, you just really get a better understanding of what freedom really is. So one of the things that stood out to me in the movie is every time they talked about being free, they talked about being independent, but they went a little bit further, and they actually said independent of each other, which adds a lot to that conversation. So for me personally, over my career and my life experience, I've always noticed that collectivism always is corrupted. So you could take a look at pretty much any organization that you might have been you are or might have been a member of over the years. And the more the power in the organization gets centralized, the more the resources of the organization start being allocated to smaller and smaller groups of people at the expense of the others. And I thought that really resonated with me when I heard the actors say in their understanding of what was going on when the Constitution was being debated and finally consummated, that in America, we want to be independent, not just of the government, but each other, which means that we're the sole provider of our own sustenance. And I thought that was a really big point of differentiation, Shire.
Yeah, so one of the things that my organization, Towers for Change, we're kind of the essence of a real nonprofit. Like, we don't have a bank account, we don't take donations. I raise money. I help other like schools raise money for the projects, and then we put these tower gardens in the schools where the children learn to grow their own food. It's sort of like, give me a fish I eat for a day, teach me to fish I eat for a lifetime. Give me the food I eat for a day. Speaking of food banks and food pantries, teach me to grow my own food, give me the means to grow my own food I can eat for a lifetime. And in a world where food is becoming, good food is very expensive, and processed and boxed and canned food, which we dole out through through the assistance programs, is really debilitating American health. And I think that has really rearing its head. I think that the new administration, I mean, I've known these things for 40 years, but the administration is now showing us, and Secretary Kennedy is trying really hard to get the bad food out of the diets. Here in Florida, I did a little research and looking for which counties had the highest obesity and rates, because that obesity often leads to heart disease and diabetes and other chronic illness. And so what I found was there's the county with the lowest obesity rate has a 50% obesity rate. And all the other counties in Florida are higher than 50%. And that is it's just so sad to me. And here in Lake County, we're up in the top 10. So 5 years ago, I stood up in the city council, Mount Dora City Council, where I live. And I said I was going to make Mount Dora the healthiest city in Lake County, and then Lake County the healthiest county in Florida. And that was about 4 months before COVID hit. So things got a little waylaid. But I started out with the police department and going down there at shift change 2 nights a week and making healthy smoothies for them and getting them some education about healthier eating and healthier lifestyle. And that's what my little group now, this Lake County Wellness Co-mission, not a commission where there's somebody, it says co-chair, but that's like co with everyone else. Um, it's not going to be, it's not an organization with leadership and nobody's being paid to do anything. We're just trying to get the word out and help educate people on how to be healthier. Um, so, Mike, what do you?
Let me
So,
just say, Shire, that the amazing thing to me is I've taken a look at these tower gardens, and they're really pretty amazing, right? And we're going through so much all over the country, but particularly in Florida with agricultural land and, farmers not making enough money and stuff like that. But this hydroponic, basically, I hope, correct me if I'm not using the right term, Shire, but I mean, this hydroponic farming thing that the tower gardens is quite amazing. And just like I have friends of mine that have fruit trees and stuff like that in their yard. And the problem with the trees is they produce too much fruit, right? So people never know what to do with the product. And I think the tower gardens are the same way. Can you agree, Shire?
I do. I have a couple of towers in my front yard and I share them with I share my greens and celery and lettuce and so forth with my neighbors. Um, on a larger scale, there are tower farms and my dream, I mean, I've been putting them in the schools because that's where we really need to start. But my niche, my desire, my passion is to have tower farms in the prisons. The institutional food is bad no matter what the institution is, whether it's a school or a hospital or a nursing home or whatever, but it's exceptionally poor in the prisons and some place where people have, our brains need nutrition to function properly. Like brain health helps you to make healthier decisions. Without that brain health, there's it needs good nutrition to make good decisions. So we're better than in the prisons, and we're better where they have space and they have this, a workforce. There is some prisons that have contracts with companies and they do work for them, but it's a very small percentage of the residents that actually have corporate jobs from the corporations. They don't get paid by the corporations. That's another whole story where the corporation pays the prison the minimum wage of the state or of the federal government, and then the prisoner gets 23 cents an hour. So another story for another time. But
Yeah, let's get Chuck involved here and let's see if Chuck has any comments about what we've covered so far.
you guys have been moving right along. I just had a couple of quick questions regarding big agriculture. Do you feel like big agriculture is our enemy, or do you feel like they are just misguided, or what's the deal with quote unquote big agriculture?
as many small farmers in America do not commit suicide as the problem they're having in India, where the big agriculture has taken over, and small farmers the farms have been in their homes, in their families for thousands of years. But here in the States, same thing, hundreds of years where these farms family farms, and they're overrun by big agriculture. It's funded, U.S. government funds the big farms that are growing genetically modified corn and soy and wheat, which is contributing to making the people sick. So, yeah, there's a problem. There's a big disconnect between our food, what God intended for us to be eating, the fruit of the vine, everything, all of the beautiful food that is designed for human consumption that our human bodies need is not it's being pushed out, and they're making food in labs, and they're growing food that is designed to make cattle and swine fatter to make more meat. It's not a good thing.
Now, what about Robert Kennedy, our Secretary of Health and Human Services, and his MAHA movement? Who is really kind of, I don't know, opposing that? I mean, he seems to be right up your alley. Sounds to me like you would be in favor of what he's up to. And so who is the opposition to make America healthy again?
Exactly. I want to tell you in Hindi, the word maha means great. So in my estimation, you can't make America great again until you maha, make America healthy again. And I am baffled really at the amount of people who are against everything that he's doing. And maybe it isn't the people so much as the media lets us think it's the people that are against him. Because who would be against someone who's trying to help a nation stop being poisoned by processed foods? I've been in the early 70s, I worked on an organic farm in a health food store that was on an organic farm. So I've been involved in this for a long time. And I heard something on the news 30 years ago. It talked about how hot beverages in styrofoam caused pancreatic cancer. So I thought, wow, they're just going to eliminate the styrofoam from now on. That's horrible. But no, that didn't happen. And we've known for 30 or 40 years that sodium nitrate, the nitrates that they use in processed meats, luncheon meats and bacon and things like that, that is carcinogenic. It causes cancer. And finally, someone comes along who knows these things and is trying to eliminate them from our diets, and he's getting opposition. Like, where is this coming from? I'm baffled by it, frankly.
Chuck?
Yeah, so you feel like the opposition to the MAHA is not really the people as much as it is the organizations, and obviously organic food. I think everybody would love to have organic food, no pesticides and this and the other, but it's expensive. How do you deal with that?
Well, there are several things that could happen. I have a small idea. For the last 24 years, I've been involved as a affiliate partner with the Juice Plus company, which is a global health food company who takes better than organically grown fruits and vegetables and puts them in a capsule or into a into a drink, a powdered drink, superfood. I drink my superfood every morning. It's 30 fruits and vegetables, and it's not as certainly not as expensive as buying the 30 fruits and vegetables. But for the people who are on food assistance and are not getting a lot of produce and certainly not getting organic produce, I think with all of the eliminations from Secretary Kennedy's Health and Human Services, they are now, you're not allowed to buy certain processed and carcinogenic foods with your SNAP money or WIC money. I think if I could get Secretary Kennedy together with Travis Garza, the president of the Juice Plus company, and get the people allowed to purchase Juice Plus, which is fruits and vegetables, we would see amazing things. Juice Plus has long-term real-life data showing how adults and children miss less school, miss less work, have better eating habits, healthy eating habits, have less doctor visits, take less medications, all the things that we would want for our citizens. And that's, one little place, but
Chuck.
meeting.
Well, just I wasn't totally sure where you wanted to go with that. What about the Department of Agriculture? Where do they fit into all this?
I don't think they've been doged yet.
Okay.
And I know that the Bureau of Prisons has not been looked at. For 4 years, we fought for independent oversight for the Bureau of Prisons. I was on a couple of national broadcast panels trying to get independent oversight for the Bureau of Prisons. And so last year, the Congress passed an oversight bill for the prisons. And all these people were excited, like, oh, yeah, here we finally have oversight. But it wasn't independent oversight. So all they did was hand it over to the Inspector General of the Department of Justice, who is the person who should have been oversighting it all along. And it's kind of sad, but there's just a lot of solutions we can do. And the towers, Mike, you're right. They're not exactly hydroponic. They're a little bit more advanced. It's called aeroponic because the roots are not standing in water. The roots are being the water is cascading over the roots from the top of the tower. So it's on a timer where part of the time it's off and part of the time it's on, and it's called aeroponic. But this is the future of farming. This is the newest appliance. Everyone should have one in their kitchen, in their driveway, on their porch, on their deck, on their balcony. Fabulous for urban farming, fabulous for country farming, and would be fabulous in prisons and fabulous as it is in schools.
Where do you get them?
Towergarden.com.
Towergarden.com. I think we're over there. I think, is that one of our little things here going through here? I forget which one we put in there. There it is. Towers for Change?
Towers for Change. That's the organization,
Okay.
my organization. But
Okay.
certainly, people contact me through there
But, okay. So towers.com.
Let's get Shire's social media. Let's get Shire's social media contact information so people can contact her about Juice Plus and Tower Gardens.
Sure.
Shire? Shire, what are your social media coordinates?
Well, on X, which is where I spend most of my time, I am um, Z's mom, Zeemom, Zeezsmom 2, Z's mom 2. I have a son that's in a federal prison, which for the last 10 years, which is why I'm so passionate about Tower Gardens and better food in prisons. But that's X, and um, my name with a Shire Maguire for Facebook, and Towers for Change has a Facebook page as well.
Super. That's great.
Chuck, do you mind if I make a comment here?
Oh, sure. Go right ahead.
Let's get Shire to give us a little bit more background on organic food and brain health, and basically the decision-making process. You know, as it kind of physiologically, how does healthy food affect? Like, for example, I had a conversation with a family member of mine recently, and I try to teach my grandchildren all the time that every single thing you put into your body matters. So, you know, too much sugar affects the way you make your decision making, obviously, right? You know, I mean, you can look at your, you know, basically any dietary platform, and they'll tell you eat this, don't eat that. And so, how does that affect the actual thinking process, Shire? You want to? And I know that you're aware of what I'm asking you to discuss. So why don't you do that?
Well, sugar is the enemy, and there's a very famous pediatrician, Dr. William Sears, who said that Americans are not suffering from ADD, attention deficit disorder. They are suffering from NDD, nutrition deficit disorder. And there's a very, very high correlation between food and mood. And the people think that, you know, mental disease is different than physical disease, but it isn't. It's your brain is an organ, and that brain needs nutrients in order to function properly and make good decisions.
That
And
makes good sense.
education. We need to educate people on health. There's the doctors get very little nutrition education, and schools give very little nutrition education.
Another thing I'd like for you to discuss, Shire, because I think a lot of people don't realize, who are not in the agriculture business or they're not in the food business, how farmers contract with companies to grow products specifically for certain companies. Can you enlighten us a little bit about that? Are you aware of that? Like, for example, Juice Plus hires farmers specifically
Yes.
to create the materials that are eventually wind up in Juice Plus products. Talk to us a little bit about the business relationship between farmers and food processors and distributors.
Well, Juice Plus had all of the growers for the Juice Plus product are contracted to Juice Plus, only grow for Juice Plus, and they grow better than organic, and they're allowed to vine ripen, which means they're more nutrient dense, and they are washed and flash frozen at the field. But there are family farmers who tried to just, you know, grow their own. They're not allowed to collect their seeds anymore.
Right.
Monsanto and the big corporations that are in control of the seeds, and you can only use. I mean, it's kind of bizarre when your food doesn't have seeds anymore. You know, strawberries have lost their seeds around the edge. You open a watermelon, seedless watermelon, seedless this, seedless that. That's really unnatural. That's not the way God intended your food to be. And it's money, you know, it's just greed and money, like most problems.
Mike?
So let me just say that, again, you know, I think it's very viable that we could put as our legislative priority that Florida bans any prohibition of farmers collecting their own seeds. That'd be pretty good law here in Florida, which is a huge agriculture state. Can you agree with that, Shire?
I agree with that, and tower farms everywhere.
I'll be honest with you. I look at these tower farms and I'm pretty blown away. I mean, honestly, because, and let me just say, let's just get the 80-pound, 1,000-pound gorilla on the table. I mean, most families choose unhealthy food as a convenience. So a big part of enlightening people about having, a tower garden in their backyard or on their porch or whatever is just giving them the understanding or have that lifestyle shift to where where families who are very busy with dual income households and all of the stresses and challenges of family life, it's like working out or exercising or anything else. This is a lifestyle change. Yet, I mean, isn't it amazing how, it's like getting into a swimming pool, right? A cold water swimming pool, right? The hardest part is just is getting in, right? But once you're in, you love it. So it's really interesting to try to assist people in getting over the hurdle of adjusting their lifestyle to a organic, healthy food consumption, which means you have to cook a little bit, right? And I think, cooking is, again, I grew up in the hotel and restaurant business. So cooking is a beautiful art and I enjoy it myself personally, even though, that's another story. But it's kind of a lifestyle shift. And I would highly encourage people to just start doing a little bit more. And again, if you talk to the farmers will tell you that the best thing you can do for a farmer is eat at home, because that means you're buying agricultural products from the grocery store and they distribute through the grocery stores. And that's the best thing you can do for a farmer. And I just need to, at this particular moment, thank our farmers and the agricultural community. This is hard work. It's typically not as financially rewarding as alternative career paths. We're finding that farmers' children don't want to be farmers, and that's contributing to the land use issues that we're experiencing here in the state of Florida, with farmers wanting to sell their property and being handsomely rewarded by developers, based on high density development plans. So we really have to be grateful to our farmers for the really thankless work that they do, which is really much more difficult than the alternatives that when a wealthy farmer who owns thousands of acres of land puts their kids through college, the kids look at their parents and say, of all the career choices I have, why would I want to come back to that farm? And that's a really difficult question for moms and, for parents and grandparents to address with their children and grandchildren. I mean, I just don't have to do this backbreaking work for less money, and we can get into robotics and all that kind of stuff. But I'd like to just kind of flip this back over to Chuck, and let's see where Chuck wants to go with this conversation.
Well, we've kind of ended our time. Shara, if you have maybe a final comment?
Well, just wanted to thank you again for the opportunity to share my views and hope that I've inspired a couple of people out there to take that first step and throw a little kale in your smoothie.
Well, okay, great. Thank you very much. And so that's all
there you
for
go.
this morning.
Throw a little kale in your smoothie, buddy.
There you go. Thanks so much, all of you who have been watching this morning. Next week, we're going to be having Todd Howard, a member of Claremont City Council, as our guest. And we're hoping that we're going to pull off a 3-part series with him. So please join us next Tuesday at 11. Thanks and bye.